Hello, my name is Lucas, this is A Bit of Lit, and I'm here to talk about Swamp Thing Volume 2, written by Alan Moore, and I really enjoyed this collection. It took a while for me to fully appreciate what was going on and where the story was leading, but once it started going, I was really into it and really hooked. I would say that it's a small departure from what is seen in Swamp Thing Volume 1 in a sense because it's a lot more horror focused all throughout. Although that's not to say there isn't a lighthearted story in there with the tribute to Pogo, as I learned once I looked up what the volume issue about the little alien creatures that have their very strange way of speaking was about. It's a very touching, heartfelt story in itself, a little difficult because of the strange language used by the aliens, but nonetheless very well written in its own right. Now, the rest of what is in this volume is really building up to something great and is really special because the stakes are a lot more personal in here. A lot of what happens in the first 8 volumes, first 8 issues in Volume 1 are helping you to understand Swamp Thing and this new reincarnation and learning what kinds of threats he's going to face and what kind of world he's living in. Now, in this case, we are seeing some of those things pay off and seeing the true horror elements, not just the body horror or psychological horror, which we see with the new body of Alec Holland or Swamp Thing, although he was never Alec Holland, he was just plants that have the psyche of Alec Holland. And there is still, right from the beginning in this first issue of the volume, a re-examination, re-exploration of that origin story where Swamp Thing wants to put to rest his bones, or Alec's bones. And so that's what he does. And it's a really powerful piece, although I would have to say that because of the demands, as I was reading in the introduction, because of the demands of the comic book industry, it's not always possible for the artists to get things done on time when they've got a lot on their plate. So other artists will fill in, and it's quite noticeable. You see it in the first issue and then in the Pogo one or Pog one. And I don't really like the art for those issues because it makes Swamp Thing look like a Scooby-Doo villain, and I just think he looks really goofy. But the original artists, Toddleben and so on, are really capture the essence of Swamp Thing, I feel. Now, when I say that the story is much more personal, what I mean is that a lot of this story follows Abigail Cable in this volume. And we saw at the end of Volume 1 that her husband, Matt, got into a bit of trouble, into a car crash, but an insect that was guiding him went into his body and has now possessed him. And this insect is an absolutely horrifying thing because it is the return of Swamp Thing's enemy, Arcane, who now, because he's in the body of Matt, has these incredible powers that Matt was wasting on pleasures of the mind and body, shall we say. And he uses that to get back at Swamp Thing and to damn Abigail by taking her body away. taking her soul away from her body, that is. And Swamp Thing goes through heaven and hell to find her again. It's very much about his love, his relationship with Abigail Cable, and it's incredibly touching. It's very moving. There are these really wonderfully rendered images throughout this adventure and this journey that have so much dramatic impact, and not a lot is said in those panels, but what is said is absolutely perfect for the moment and really hits home and makes you feel. And then there is an additional part at the end where they have a confirmation of the relationship that they are going to have, and where they reveal their feelings to each other, and a consummation of the relationship. But of course, she can't, get busy with Swamp Thing. However, he takes one of those little fruit things from his body and gives her a psychedelic experience, which is very bizarre to read, but incredibly touching. And feels so powerfully intimate that I thought it was incredible. I thought it was a nice way to end this volume. I thought it was a great issue too. And yeah, I look forward to volume 3, and hopefully I will also be impressed with volume 3 and can continue until the end. But that's all I really have to say. Incredible volume. I look forward to where things are going from here. Thank you. Goodbye.